It's a Tuesday, still dark outside. You're 26, lying on a mattress on the floor, never got around to buying a frame, kept telling yourself next year. And your phone lights up the ceiling when you check the balance. $4.37. Rent is due in 3 days. You already know, the way you know weather without checking, it isn't happening this month either. Down the hall, your roommate Danny, you two grew up 2 streets apart in a small town in Ohio, learned to ride bikes on the same cracked driveway, knocks and asks if you want to split a pizza. You tell him you already ate. You didn't. You just can't say why out loud, not even to him. That's the thing about broke, nobody warns you about. It can put a wall between you and the one person who'd actually get it. Here's the thing worth understanding before we go further. Broke isn't one bad month or one number in an account. It's got stages, and everyone feels like a completely different animal. Some scream at you all day. Some are so quiet you don't notice you're inside one until you're already out the other side. And there's exactly one stage, right in the middle, not at the bottom where you'd expect. That does more damage than the other 6 combined. You'll know which one by the end of this, and more importantly, what actually gets a person out of it, because it's not what you'd think. Let's start where it's loudest. This level never lets you forget it's there. Every purchase becomes a math problem you solve before you reach the register. You know the exact price of everything. You know which gas station is 2 cents cheaper, and you drive the extra distance for it, because 2 cents is 2 cents when you're counting. You know how many days until Friday, because Friday's when the money lands and leaves again almost as fast. Danny handles it differently than you do. He turns it into a bit, calls the two of you the broke roommates, like you're a band that never made it. You laugh every time, because laughing is one of the only free things left. You eat a lot of rice, split everything down the middle. And somewhere in there you learn that broke, next to a friend, is lighter than broke alone in a room. Nobody tells you this part. Level 1 is honest. There's no hiding down here. You know exactly where you stand. Everyone around you knows too, and there's a strange, almost clean peace in that. It's uncomfortable, sure, but this loud, hungry level isn't the one that breaks people. Not close, because at level 1 you're still fighting, still awake. The real danger starts once the fighting goes quiet. This one shows up right when things look better on paper. You land a job that pays more. You and Danny stop splitting rent. He moves across town first, actually. And suddenly, you're handling everything solo. By every number that matters, you're doing better than you ever have. And that, weirdly, is the exact moment broke goes underground. Because now people expect things of you. Coworkers grab lunch on a Thursday and just assume you're in. You go, because turning them down 3 weeks running gets noticed, and being noticed is the last thing you want. You open the menu, eyes straight to the cheapest item, and tell the table you just aren't that hungry. You say that sentence so many times it stops feeling like a lie. It just becomes a thing you say. This is where shame moves in and starts unpacking its bags. At level 1, broke was a fact, plain, out in the open. At level 2, it becomes a secret you manage. And a secret is something you protect, which means you start making choices to protect the secret instead of choices that actually fix anything. You'd rather look fine at that table than admit the number in your account. That small human instinct, hide it, smile, move on, is exactly what walks you into the level that does the real damage. This one feels like relief. That's the whole trap, right there. An envelope shows up with your name printed on a credit card and a limit that looks, to you, like a small fortune. The pressure you've been carrying for years just lifts. You can say yes to lunch without doing math first. You can grab dinner with Danny without a parking lot calculation beforehand. For the first time in longer than you can remember, you feel like a regular person. Turns out Danny got one in the mail too, same week. For about 6 months, the two of you genuinely believe you've made it out. You stop counting dollars. You breathe. But here's the part you need to actually sit with. You haven't made a single extra dollar. Your income hasn't moved. All you've done is borrow against a future version of yourself who now owes all of it back, plus interest, whether he can afford it or not. Level 3 doesn't feel like being broke. It feels like the problem's finally solved. An enormous number of people are standing at level 3 right now with no idea. They think they climbed out. They didn't. They just moved the weight somewhere they can't see yet, somewhere that mails a bill eventually. This is the one that actually breaks people. Not because it hurts the most, because it hurts the least, right up until the day it stops. By level 4, the freedom has a price, and it lands the same day every month. The card that once felt like breathing room now carries a minimum payment, and that payment eats whatever room you thought you'd won. So you pay the minimum. It's all you can manage, and it barely touches the real number. Month after month, the balance sits almost exactly where it was. You're running as hard as you can and not moving an inch. Danny goes quiet around here, stops answering the group text as fast, picks up a second job, and when you finally ask about it, he doesn't say he's getting ahead. He says, flatly, he's just trying to stay where he already is. That sentence sits heavy in your chest for days, because you know exactly what he means. You're living the same sentence. The cruel part of level 4. From outside, the two of you look completely fine. Jobs, cards in your wallets, functioning adults. Inside, every month is a photo finish. One flat tire, one surprise bill away from the whole thing tipping. And the shame that moved in quietly back at level 2 isn't quiet anymore. It has a voice. And it uses it every night the lights go out. You should have figured this out by now. Everyone else your age has. That voice is lying. But with the lamp on and the statements spread across the table, it's hard to hear much else. This is the strangest one, because from the outside, it doesn't look like broke at all. It looks like success. By now, you actually pull a real salary. Decent apartment, furniture that matches, a phone that isn't cracked, a car that starts every morning without a small prayer first. A stranger looking at your life wouldn't guess a thing, but there's nothing saved. Not really. Nothing that would hold. One bad month, one lost job, one real emergency, and the whole structure would fold like a table on one leg. Danny buys a car he can't really afford around now, and part of you wants to say something. Another part understands it completely and says nothing, because at this level, looking broke feels worse than being broke. You have no room to talk anyway. You've done the same thing yourself, just so nobody would think to ask. Invisible broke is loud on the inside, silent on the outside. That gap, how your life looks versus how it actually feels, is one of the more exhausting things a person can carry around all day. You end up performing stability for an audience that isn't even watching that closely, and you're too drained by the performance to ever build the real thing underneath it. Then, at level 6, something shifts, quietly, and nobody around you sees it happen, because it happens entirely inside your own head. One ordinary night, for no dramatic reason, you sit at the kitchen table and actually write the numbers out. Not on an app that hides half of it behind a friendly interface. On paper, in your own handwriting, what comes in, what goes out, what you owe, the full, ugly total. You don't do it to punish yourself. You do it because, after years of looking away, you're finally more tired of not knowing than afraid of knowing. That night, you look straight at it and don't look away. On paper, nothing changes. Your balance that night is the same as it was that morning. You're still, technically, broke. But your relationship to the truth has changed completely, and that, not the balance, is what actually starts moving a person forward. Danny gets there too, in his own way, on his own night. He calls you and says, straight out, no cushion around it, that he can't do the trip everyone's been planning. He doesn't reach for an excuse, doesn't say he's busy, doesn't say something came up at work. He just tells you the plain truth of where he is. It's the first fully honest thing either of you have said about money in years. That honesty is the first real, visible sign that someone's actually about to climb out. This one isn't what you'd think. It's not rich. It's not a big number or a fancy life. It's simply the first month where money isn't the loudest thing in your head. A small cushion, not a fortune, maybe 1 month of expenses sitting in an account, doing nothing but existing. That 1 month changes almost everything, because a bad week becomes just a bad week. A flat tire is an annoyance you deal with on a Tuesday, not a crisis that keeps you up for 3 nights. A slow stretch at work becomes something you can absorb instead of a wave that drags you under. That low hum of fear that's been running underneath everything since you were 26, staring at $4.37. For the first time in years, it goes quiet. Danny calls now, and the whole conversation happens without money coming up once. No bill, no card, no balance. Just two guys from the same small town in Ohio talking about nothing in particular, the way you used to before any of this started. That's level 7. Not wealth, quiet. The absence of a fear you'd carried so long you forgot it was ever there. So here's the whole truth about the 7 levels of broke. It's not level 1, $4.37, knowing exactly how bad it is, that breaks people. Honesty never broke anyone, even the painful kind. It's level 3, the borrowed one. The one that feels like freedom and quietly convinces you the fight is over, so you set your guard down and stop fighting. That's where most people settle in, sometimes for good, running the treadmill at level 4, performing stability at level 5, never once sitting down to look at the actual numbers. The people who get out aren't usually the ones who make the most money. They're the ones who reach level 6, who sit at a kitchen table on one ordinary night and look at the truth without flinching. That's the whole turn. Not more income, more honesty. If you recognized yourself somewhere in here, that's not a bad thing. Seeing your own level for what it is, that's the exact moment level 6 quietly begins for you.